Hi everybody, this is Tom Grisak. I'm here with a special guest. This is Granver Tolliver with the town of Fairview. I call it the town, it's actually a city now. Granver, thank you very much for visiting with me.
Absolutely.
Granver is the police chief of Fairview and has been here for how long, Granver?
Almost 19 years.
19 years. I actually was talking about Granver before this. I have a picture of him. This must have been 10 or 11 years ago, and they used to have mounted horses, and he was in his riding boots, had his cowboy hat on. I thought, man, that's perfect for the town of Fairview. Just kind of blends the country with the city. But I guess that ended up going kind of by the wayside.
Yeah, we were actually keeping it country back then, so to speak. But you know, things change, and sometimes when as things change, some of the turnover and whatnot, and government and all, and sometimes everybody doesn't see it as
a benefit,
as you
versus
do,
the cost.
versus the cost,
Right.
and it does come at a cost. But you know, it's one of those things where it is a wonderful public relations tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I thought it was
something
too.
It's something that officers enjoy and look forward to doing, and it's something that I'm hopeful that we can resurrect in some form, even just if it's just for special events.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Even if you could keep them off site, you know,
Absolutely.
you don't have to keep them here in the town of Fairview, but
Right.
yeah.
And if it's a planned event and stuff like that, generally, you know, it takes a little bit of prep work, grooming the horses and getting them ready and things
Right.
like that.
Right.
But it's not something that I don't think we can overcome.
Right. And you are obviously a horse person. You can see by his saddle here and his statue in the back and his Winchester rifle.
Absolutely.
Have you had horses, or do you have them now?
I've had horses all of my life, growing up in the country in Mississippi.
Okay.
And after I came to Dallas to become a police officer, I bought land down in Dallas and started raising horses again.
Okay.
And today I ranch.
Uh-huh.
I raise cattle, and I still have
Oh, do you
horses.
really?
Mhm.
Okay.
And I still have horses.
In Dallas?
In Dallas.
I didn't know there were
yes.
any land lots big enough to raise horses in Dallas. I thought it was pretty all developed. But
Yeah, on the southeast side of Dallas, there's still quite a bit of undeveloped land there.
Okay.
And so that's where I still
yeah.
do my ranching.
Yeah, neat. I guess being the police chief and rancher at the same time, does it allow you enough time to do both, or?
Well, in my opinion, one complements the other, because you know, police work can get to be stressful at times,
I imagine.
and so having something totally different to just get your mind off of, to be able to go out with nature and with livestock and get consumed in something totally different, and get your mind completely off of law enforcement.
Right.
I think that helps to regenerate me, and then in turn I can leave that and come back and
Right.
step into this role and forget about the problems associated
Right.
with ranching.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they complement each other
Yeah.
for me.
You were born where?
Woodville, Mississippi.
Okay, where
It's
is
a
that?
small town in the extreme southwest corner.
So you know
tip
what
of
Columbia
Mississippi.
is. I was in
Absolutely.
Columbia for about a year and a half.
Well, Woodville is located close to Natchez. I don't know
All
if
right.
you ever heard
Yes,
of Natchez,
uh-huh.
Mississippi. 50 miles north of Baton Rouge
All right.
is where I was raised. The town that I'm in borders a Louisiana parish.
All right. How did you end up in Dallas?
Well, actually, I went off to school at Jackson State University, and I was in college, and I wanted to do something different, and either military or law enforcement. And the Dallas Police Department was in town recruiting, and I just happened to see them on the evening that they were about to leave.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's how it all got. I called down. They said, "We'll wait on you."
Isn't that funny how life's little twists and turns?
It is, you know. I made it down there after hours. It was their last day there. I interviewed, and the rest
So
was
that's what I
history.
call making an entrance. Last one in the door and all eyes focused on you.
Absolutely. And then, and that's how I got out to Dallas
Yeah.
back in 1980.
How long were you with the Dallas Police Department?
I was in Dallas for about 15 years, and then
Right.
Dallas County another 5.5 years
As a sheriff?
with the constable's office.
As a constable? What's the difference between a constable and a sheriff?
Uh,
Or deputy sheriff?
so the roles are similar, except that the constable's office focuses more on serving civil processes and bailiffing the justice of the peace court and
All right.
things of that nature.
Right.
Whereas the sheriff's office, they do some patrol in unincorporated areas of the county.
Right.
They also run the jail, responsible for the jail, but
Right.
they also serve civil processes as well.
Okay. And when this job opened up, how did you find out about this job? How did it come about? Was it a...
I was working as a police officer, and I was looking for a police chief opportunity. I thought I wanted to be a politician, and that's why I went to the constable's office and I ran for constable, and I lost the election. And so I decided I better go back to what I was used to and what I was better at,
Right.
and that is just strictly policing and not politics.
Right.
And so I came across this ad for this little small town that wanted to start a police department.
How many people were here? Do you remember when you were
I think
hired?
it was right around 3,000.
Yeah. And it's what, probably 8,000 or 9,000
It's
now?
about 10,000.
Oh, it's
now.
10,000 now. Wow.
Yes, and so I didn't know where Fairview was, but when I looked on the map and I thought, my goodness, it's right around
Uh-huh.
McKinney.
Uh-huh.
And I remembered that as a patrol officer in Dallas, I had caught some criminals who came up to McKinney, stole a car in Dallas, came to McKinney, robbed a Zales jewelry store at gunpoint, went back to Dallas, and I actually got into a chase with them and caught them and recovered the guns and the jewelry and arrested the subjects, and had to come up to McKinney to the courthouse during their trials. So I knew
So
about
you spent some
it.
time driving around
Absolutely.
thinking, I can live here.
And so
Yeah.
I came up to take a look before I applied, and it kind of reminded me of a little home. And I said, I'm going to apply for that, and here I am.
Right. What was your degree in college?
I started pursuing a degree in biology. When I joined the Dallas Police Department, I left school without finishing a degree. I ultimately went back and received a degree in interdisciplinary studies.
All right. Is there any interplay with that, with being a police chief?
Yeah, because a degree in interdisciplinary studies, you've got your finger in a whole bunch of different things. You're not focused in one little area. So it helps to broaden your perspective about things and how things affect one another. And so having all of the experience that I've gained in policing and having that kind of knowledge helps blend things together. And it really is beneficial as far as I'm concerned.
Now, when you came to Fairview, what was your policing must have been totally different than it is now. What were your duties back then? What were you hired to do back then?
Well, actually, Fairview was kind of a sleepy bedroom community. It had one little business in it, and it was a little grocery store on Highway 5, near just north of Country Club Road. And the sheriff's department actually patrolled the town of Fairview. And so there wasn't much going on here at that time. And so I came in, and it was so much different than Dallas. but I'm a country boy, and so I'm used to.
So you could relate to people a bit
Absolutely,
better.
I'm used to the slower environment and things like that. I'm a country boy who was taken out of the country and moved to the city, right? But I still have the country values, and so making the adjustment was not hard at all for me, because I'm that guy that likes to stop and talk to people and get to know people and things like this and be as helpful as I can. So coming to Fairview in this kind of environment, it really helped me to build relationships, have time to build relationships.
Years ago, I can't remember if I was talking with you or someone else had mentioned there had been some vandal or some robberies up in either town of I guess it was here at the Fairview Town Center is what it's called now. It used to be Village at Fairview. And I was asking somebody, maybe it was you, is that unusual? And whoever I was talking to said, well, people, we asked the perpetrators, is that the term to use?
Yeah.
Where are you from? They said they were from another area, quite a ways from here. And whoever it was had asked them, well, why did you come up here? And they said, well, that's where the money is.
Absolutely.
So-
That could, very well could have been me, because I remember talking to some suspects that came up and that we arrested committing some crimes, and that's what they said. They said this is where the money is, and they thought that there wasn't any police.
Oh, was
here.
that right?
And so, why not go where the money is?
Well, they were surprised, weren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. So
And we're here in this beautiful, is that 4-story
It is.
town building?
It
We
is.
have a jail here.
we do not have a
Oh, you
jail
don't?
here.
Okay.
We transport anybody that we arrest directly to the Collin County Jail.
All right.
We're so close in proximity that
Right.
there's so much demand and things,
A crossover.
requirements
I-
from the state that you have to have in
Yeah.
order to have somebody and house someone and do all these things till we take.
It just
them
doesn't make
straight
sense
in.
for you
It
to-
does not make
Yeah.
sense. Now, we do have an area where, a holding area, that is a secure room where we can hold someone if we need to interview them or interrogate them or whatever else, or bring them here while we acquire some kind of warrant if we need to get blood or something from them or things like that. We need to prepare a warrant. We have a temporary holding facility that we can do that and then take them on to the jail.
No, I very, very rarely hear of anything happening. I live in Lucas, which is right next to Fairview, in Lucas or Fairview. So I have no idea what the crime statistics are. Can you just enlighten me a little bit on
Well, unfortunately, the same things that happen anywhere in most all cities, large or small, also happen here in Fairview. They just happen on a much smaller scale. We from time to time will have a burglary. Usually it's someone left something open, left a garage open or something like that. We don't normally have many forcible entry type deals. Because of the shopping area, we have thefts. We have people that go into the larger department stores and things like that and shoplift. So we do have that. Because we have restaurants that serve alcohol, we'll have fights or things like that from time to time. We, like all communities, regardless of the size, we have domestic violence. And that's something that it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter how big your community is. Sometimes it's just hard for people to get along, and sometimes tempers flare, and unfortunately it progresses into something more than verbal at times. But we have had some things that go on that were unfortunate here in Fairview, but those were isolated incidents, few and far between, and unfortunately that also was between family.
You're right. It's everywhere, but
So-
I don't know if you could find a town that's safer and as close in as Fairview, honestly.
I agree. This is a wonderful community, and as safety goes, I believe it is one of the safest communities that you can live in. We have a police presence. We spend a lot of time on crime prevention, just through visibility, and being out there and being in front of people. Fairview, in and of itself, the population is not that great, but we had a lot of pass-through traffic. I mean, 75, US 75 is a major corridor.
One of the major arteries.
Absolutely.
Right into downtown Dallas.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, most of the people that we arrest for criminal offenses are from somewhere other than Fairview.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And that's just, and a lot of them are from Dallas and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but in terms of safety, we have ranked in the top in terms of the safest cities year in and year out for quite a long time.
I would think so, but I never see, you see safest cities in Texas, and I never see Fairview or Lucas on there, and I don't know why. I mean,
Well,
it can't.
Well, several years ago, Fairview was, I think, at number 3 on.
Was it?
On
I missed that one.
Uh-huh. And so, but, things happen, and it only takes 1 or 2 incidents.
Of a town of this size, by ratio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To move you in or out of,
Yeah.
of that ranking.
Right.
So
let's start. I want to go back to when you first started. Did you
Sure.
have any idea that Fairview would explode the way it did?
Yes, and I that's why I came. When I first came here and interviewed, one of the things I wanted to know was, I know what Fairview is today, but what does Fairview intend to become? And if Fairview was going to remain as it was, then I would not have been interested in coming here. I wanted to come to Fairview because I believed that I had an opportunity to help build a town, help build a police department commensurate with the growth of a town. And the town manager talked about the master plan and what Fairview talked about the commercial district, talked about the residential district, and talked about the big vision of what Fairview would become one day. And I knew that it would happen because of where it was located. You've got Dallas and Plano and Allen, and it's sandwiched right between Allen and McKinney.
Just
It
rolled
has
right
a
up
portion.
over us.
It has a portion of 75 that runs through the town. There's no way it could not be developed.
For many years, people didn't know where Fairview was, even those that lived in Allen. I would talk about Fairview, and they say, "Where's Allen?" I said, "Well, it's right across the street." But there was no sign on 75 stating Fairview city limit. So you could blow right through, and all you'd see was country there at 75 and Stacy. There was nothing there. All you see the tower, the famous Fairview Tower. And once this kicked off, the development here, Fairview Town Center, everything started exploding.
Absolutely.
And for years, I heard people say, "Well, I like Fairview, but there's no place to shop, blah, blah, blah. And, I've got to drive into Plano to do anything." And then when all this said that, is that going to hurt me when I'm selling my home? And now that all this development's come in, it's just the opposite. People say, "Has it hurt me with all this development?" And it hasn't. It's just, this town has just exploded.
Well, and I don't think it will ever hurt because of the planning that went in to Fairview on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
By having
I agree.
By having a commercial district and by having a residential district that is a 1+ acre lot
Right.
development east of the commercial district, allows people to be able to come to a place like this, enjoy theater, dining, shopping, all these
across the
kinds of-
street, go to Top Golf, or
all
go to an
these-
Allen Event
yes,
Center, watch a
yes,
hockey game.
Yes, all these things, and go a mile down the street or a half a mile down the street, and be in a residential district that has a minimum lot size of 1 acre.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, and they have the best of both worlds.
I agree.
You can drive.
You feel like
can
you're out a
drive,
little bit, but you're not.
and depending on which road you're on, it feels like you're out into the country. You go off of Highway 5 on Meandering Way, and
Yeah.
all you have to do is go a block, and it feels like you're just out in the country somewhere.
Well, you feel about it the same way that I do. McKinney, the town square is a wonderful place to visit too. You don't even have to get on 75. Take the back road up McKinney, and it's a beautiful drive up there. Where it's almost no homes you'll see between here and all the way up to the airport. So it really is. It was a well-planned community, and they stuck with it. The town managers, by the way, the reason this commercial is here and it's not further in, basically is because there's no sewer, public sewer. Public sewer is all located around Greenville and all the way to 75.
Yep.
So you can put commercial in. You can't put this type of commercial in if you go further east. And Fairview does not want to bring sewer in, obviously. So what you see now is what you're going to be getting.
Absolutely, and the long-term value in Fairview is that you will be close to everything, yet in a country field environment.
Mm-hmm.
If you own property east of Highway 5.
Mm-hmm. It's only going to get more expensive.
And it's only going to get more
Yeah.
expensive because
Yeah.
they're not making any more dirt, right?
Right.
And so think about the proximity of downtown Dallas and the airport.
Frisco.
Frisco.
Everything's happening in
Just-
Frisco,
yes.
Plano, the technology centers.
It is just
Yeah.
Collin County is a wonderful county to be located within, and Fairview is just a magnificent town in Collin County
I agree.
to be involved
It's kind of the
with.
gem, in my opinion.
It
Of course,
is.
people hear me say that they see I'm prejudiced because I'm a realtor, but I've looked at it from so many different areas. I thought, why wouldn't someone be happy here? The problem is it's gotten so expensive that it's difficult to afford.
That's
something
the
here.
only thing.
Yeah.
That's the only thing about it that
Yeah.
I can see as a negative if you're a buyer.
Yes, exactly.
If you already live here, you know the value in enjoyment. You know the value of the serenity and of the convenience at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It is just not many places that you can go in this country
Quick
where
access.
you can see a rabbit run across the yard and then be at the shopping center in 2 or 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not
Yeah,
many
so
places you
now
can
they're
do that.
reporting they're seeing some deer every once in a while.
Absolutely.
I think on Red Oak
Absolutely.
Trail, they saw a deer out there, a buck, and unfortunately we're getting hogs too,
There
invasive hogs.
Yes, there's quite a number of deer located along Wilson Creek. They use Wilson Creek. As a matter of fact, we've worked some accidents on Country Club by the Hurt Museum where a motorist has hit a deer.
I didn't know
Absolutely.
that. Wow.
Sure.
Wow.
We
and
usually,
then
we
right
usually,
there, I mean, you can see 75 right out this window.
we usually have one of those about every couple of years.
I had no
Someone will
idea.
hit a deer.
Yeah. Okay, so when you started out here, you were the police chief, you were the only officer, and then how long did it take you to start? When did you decide, okay, we need another officer?
So when I came here, there was actually, they had a police officer that worked part-time here, and that person, after I got here, in about a month and a half, that person was gone. I worked as a sole officer until I hired the first full-time officer, and I came in March. I hired the officer in December, and that's I started there, and I would hire about one a year.
Okay.
And we have an authorized strength right now. of 19 officers.
All right.
And it's been almost 19 years.
And I saw when I was waiting for you to come down and unlock the door, I saw an application. You're looking for a new police officer now?
We are.
62,200, I believe.
Absolutely.
I don't know, is it hard to recruit officers?
Well, it is, but there's another dynamic too, and that is there are some officers that would like to come here, but in order to come here, you have to be the right fit for Fairview. Just because you're a police officer in another town does not mean that you will be the right fit for this community. And we're very picky.
Well, you can afford
We
it.
know what this community, what kind of community we have. We know what this community needs and wants, and we make sure that we don't just accept anything less than that. And so it's all about the right fit. And so we actually turn down quite a few. The person may be qualified, but qualified and being the right fit for this community is two different things.
Yeah, I would think you'd have a stack of resumes about that thing.
We don't.
There's a job open.
We don't have. We're not getting the interest that we used to get. That started declining in about 2015 with the Ferguson incident, and in some of the police community relations. A lot of communities experience negative relationships with the community. We are so fortunate here in Fairview we have not experienced that. We are a service-oriented police department. Our motto is policing with empathy.
I love that. I saw that on your cards. I was going to bring that up.
Absolutely.
I love that logo.
We
Slogan.
and it's there because I believe that our motto should match our method. And our method of policing is to police with empathy. And that's the one thing that we spend quite a bit of time on. And that is talking about how we treat people. And how to place yourself in the life and circumstances of other people. And we believe that is very, very important. And we take every opportunity we can to be of service. And so I think that's what we're here for. You can have protect and serve, and in God we trust, and we all should trust God, I believe. But let the community know what's in your heart and how you plan to deliver service. And that's why we put it on our cars, because we feel so strongly about it.
How do you get that message out other than one-on-one interactions with the citizens? Do you actually go out and what are your responsibilities? What's the responsibility of the Fairview Police Chief?
Well, I see myself as that person that I tell my officers I work for them. And I believe that because it is my responsibility to give them the tools that they need in order to do their job and give them the guidance that they need to do their job. I empower them with those tools and with that knowledge and guidance, and I send them out and ask them to go out and be autonomous and to deliver a consistent and fair police service. And so I'm a provider. If I give them the tools they need to do their job and they go out and they do their job efficiently, well, that's a positive reflection on the town, and there's a positive reflection upon me as well. So I'm this head of household. I don't see myself as maybe some police chiefs might. I see myself as a head of household, and we're all in this house. And I just happen to be the one responsible. And I have to make sure that things are taken care of within the house and that everybody has what they need in order to take care of the responsibilities that they have and to get their jobs done. And that's what I do. But from this chair, I might think that I don't do much. You might look at what I do and go, oh, you do that. Well, number one, I hire the officer that comes here. And I literally participate in that process, and I sat on the interview board, and I make sure that I'm looking at this person and asking these questions and getting the feel to make sure that, one, we can work together, that I believe they can work with the other officers that we have here, and I believe that they're the right fit for this community. And then I have to make sure that they have the training that they need. And then as we go, I have to let them know what my philosophy of policing is all about and how I want them to go out and deliver service. I have to make sure that they understand things, expectations, things that won't be tolerated.
It must be with a smaller, and I don't know what an average size police force in Texas is, but with 19 officers, you can do that.
Yes.
With 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 and more, some of these Dallas cities, it's impossible to have that type of interaction with your officers. But I would imagine that you can do more with the only 19 officers to work with.
That's correct, you can. You can do more than you think, even with more officers. But you have to want to do it. You have to make sure that you put a process in place where you can get it done. But we are fortunate. Now, the average size police department, there's over 1,200 police departments in Texas. The average size police department is less than 20 officers.
Less than how many?
20.
Okay.
Less than 20.
Okay.
Yes. And so there are not as many large police departments as you might think. And there are a lot of police departments that's 1 officer, 3 officers, 5 officers, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
how big do you see this department growing, or do you feel like it's close to? How do you know when you need another officer?
well, what happens is it depends on how you schedule, and these days you have to build in time off for your police officers. As much as police officers want to be paid well, they want time to themselves. They want times with their family. And so about 2 years ago, we went away from 8-hour shifts and went to 10-hour shifts, working 4 days a week instead of 5 days a week.
That's nice.
Well,
I bet they like that.
they do.
Yeah.
They do. The problem is, though, when you start to give that kind of flexibility, it takes more personnel, because you have to build in relief factors to be able to cover things, because we still have to have the same number of training hours and things like that. So officers build up leave time, personal time off, paid time off, so they have to be able to take it. The state requires so much training each year. You have to be able to send the officers to do it. And so because of that, it causes you to have more officers. But right now, with the population the way it is, we should have about 22 officers.
So you're pretty close.
Yes.
To fully staffed.
No, to where the population is now, and where the shifts are now, and the way the shifts are aligned. In order to have all you need in terms of having a dedicated detective and things of that nature, and having your shifts covered, you need about 22 officers. We're at 19. We're close. But at build out, the town is expected to be, I don't know, around 18,000 or so.
That's what I heard, 18 to 20, somewhere in there.
Right. But the population growth will be in multifamily more than it will be in single family. So what will happen is there's a different drive in multifamily than it is in single family. So you generate a few more calls and different types of calls and things like this. So it'll require additional staff. I believe that by the time Fairview builds out in terms of population, it'll probably need a police force of somewhere around 35 to 40 officers.
Any idea it would grow that large when you started? Could you see yourself police chief with 35 officers?
Yes, sir.
Underneath you? You really did?
As a matter of fact, I have
You've got a great vision.
I have an organization chart that I prepared almost 10 years ago that had that forecasted that.
Yeah.
And about 6 years ago, we updated it, and it didn't change much. And so,
it's amazing.
But having worked in Dallas and the way I did, and having the responsibilities that I did, it caused me to do a lot of planning. And so when I came here, I just brought that kind of knowledge with me, and the application is the same regardless of where you are.
Now tell me about your family.
I am divorced. I have 4 kids. They're all grown. My youngest son is 31 and my oldest son is 41. And
did any of them go into law enforcement?
one of them did a long time ago. He's not in law enforcement anymore. They went military. My youngest son is still in the military. I have twin daughters. They're in the middle. They're both married with children. Each one of my kids have 2 kids. My oldest son and his wife, they just retired out of the military and came back to Texas last year. Yes.
Well, Chief, you have done a phenomenal job here, and everybody speaks so highly from Mayor Lessner all the way down. And I don't know what the average turnaround or turnover for police chiefs are, but 19 years, I would think that's a long time to be a police chief. So obviously you're doing things well and you're doing things right. I never hear complaints about. In fact, the only thing I ever hear about the police chief or the police department is there was an incident. They came over. They handled it very professionally, and I keep my ears open for things like that. So you've done a wonderful job.
Well, we try hard. We're not always perfect, but we want to be. We try hard, and it has been such a pleasure for me to serve as the Fairview Police Chief. I've been in law enforcement for 40 years. I tell you, I still love it. And as much as I love what I do, I love where I do it. And people ask me all the time about retirement. When are you going to retire? I said, I love what I do, and I love where I do it.
Same way.
And so, if you love what you do and you love where you do it,
and you appreciate it,
you're just thinking about going to work and doing the best job you can do the next day. You're not thinking about all the other stuff.
I get it. Well, thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Chief.
Absolutely.